Hi, I'm Steve Brazel, and I'd like to let you know about the 4 segments of Riverside Monthly that we have coming at you this month. I'm joined, as always, by the mayor for the city of Riverside, Patricia Locke Dawson. How are you?
I'm doing well, Steve. Thank you.
It is wonderful to be here this time of year. We're heading into the holidays, and as I say, we've got 4 segments for you. What are some of the segments we're going to be talking about?
Well, our first one, we will be interviewing the new director of our Parks, Recreation, and Community Services. Her name is Pamela Galera.
And we're also going to be talking about Mulberry Village, which is a very intriguing kind of housing project that Habitat for Humanity is doing in downtown Riverside.
And we will also have a little segment on the Mission Inn Hotel and Spa Festival of Lights. We'll be talking to our Arts and Cultural Affair Director, Margie Haupt.
And finishing up this month, it's something what I love about Riverside Monthly is I always learn something new about the city I was born and raised in. We're going to talk about Pachapa Camp, which was the first Koreatown in the United States. Madam Mayor, if people want to reach out to you, or when these episodes are released, want to find them, where can they find you on social media?
They can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mayor Locke Dawson, and also on Facebook at City of Riverside, Mayor Patricia Locke Dawson.
Make sure that you follow the mayor on all social media, because not only will you see these episodes as they're released, but you'll find out important things that are happening in and around the city of Riverside that you as a resident may need to know about. So, Madam Mayor, wonderful to see you, and I'll see you on each episode.
Thanks, Steve.
It's Riverside Monthly. I'm Steve Brazel, and we'll see you on each show. Hi, and once again, welcome to Riverside Monthly. I'm Steve Brazel. We've got a set of segments for you this month, and this first one is one that's near and dear to my heart because I do a lot with the City of Riverside Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department. Before we bring our guest in, I want to welcome the one person that is always here with me. Madam Mayor, it is wonderful to see you, Mayor Patricia Locke Dawson.
It's wonderful to see you too, Steve.
I hope that you had yourself a good Thanksgiving.
So fabulous. You?
I did. I had a good one, and now we're heading into the holiday season. And as we start moving towards the end of this year and looking forward to next year, if you are not familiar with all the different things that the City of Riverside Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department does, well, we have a special treat for you this time around. The new director for the Parks, Recreation, Community Services Department, it's Pamela Galera. How are you?
Hello. Very good.
Nice to have you with us. Welcome to the city.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, you want to get us going?
Oh, I'm happy to, because maybe you don't know this, Steve, but Pamela and I go way back.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes. So I'm very excited to have her come to Riverside. But Pamela, why don't you tell everybody what made you make the choice to come to Riverside?
It's really all about the community. I'm so impressed with all of the very unique and diverse neighborhoods in Riverside and the pride that people have when they are born and raised in Riverside. It's all about the community.
So you come from Anaheim.
I do.
And as I mentioned in the intro, I do a lot with the Parks, Recreation, Community Services Department. For years and years, I've emceed the summer concerts down at Fairmount Park, some of the other events that happen around the holidays in Riverside. And I'm curious, coming from a city like Anaheim, how does that transition work for you? How does that life experience or job experience prepare you for working in a city like this?
I feel that it has transitioned very well. It has prepared me well. Anaheim is a large city, very similar to Riverside, similar in population and size, also similar in challenges. There's a lot of diversity in population and different types of needs. However, I feel that in Riverside, there's actually more opportunities.
Wow. I don't know if you know this either, Steve, but Pamela is a trained and certified landscape architect.
And that's something, I'm going to let you go on with your question, but I'm dying to know how that ties in, because it has to.
I think it's an interesting story, because she did work in the private sector in the early part of her career, but now she's been in the public sector for a while. So Pamela, how did that sort of serve you well to go into the public sector? And what's the relationship there between what you did there and what you're doing now? Why don't you just fill us in on that?
Yes, well, I'm really pleased that I began my career in the private sector. That's really where I learned my technical skills. I learned how to be a good landscape architect. And I always approach problems from a design solution. And so I think that's something unique that I bring to the table. My early career was very impressive. I got to work at Coto de Caza and Talega and some very high-end residential properties in Orange County, including working on parks and golf courses. But interestingly enough, early in my career, I had the opportunity to work on a city park in the city of Santa Ana. And I remember the moment being in the room with the folks that came down to just make their community better. And there was an epiphany for me. And I honestly, in that moment, I knew that I absolutely wanted to devote my career to making lives better for families.
This is okay. So you two know each other, but for me, sitting on the outside, this is fascinating because, Madam Mayor, you were a park ranger. Obviously love the outdoors. You're now in the public space, but come from that private area, and as a landscape architect, obviously love the outdoors. Let's turn this to the river side of things. So being as how it's City of Riverside, see what I did? It was totally planned. In Anaheim, you've done some work having to do with revitalizing the Santa Ana River. Bring that to Riverside and the work that we're doing with revitalizing the river and the surrounding areas.
With pleasure. I also worked for the city of Orange and revitalized the Santiago Creek. And so I have worked on 2 water bodies to bring parks, community centers, bike paths, and also habitat into those areas. I'm really excited about working in Riverside. Riverside has many different challenges from what I faced in both Orange and in Anaheim, and I think that I'm very well versed to address those challenges. I understand the environmental constraints. I also understand the recreational opportunities and also the transportation opportunities being a bike path. I understand some of the permits that are required and also some of the funding that's available. And so I was very excited to come to Riverside and to put the river back in Riverside.
See, I knew that line had to get it. I'm so looking forward to seeing what you do.
See,
Yes.
and you can see she's a quick learner.
Yes.
Right? She's been here, all of not even 2 months yet?
No, not even a month,
Not
about
even
a month.
Okay,
Correct.
so, this is kind of an unfair question, but I do think it's refreshing when somebody with outside eyes comes in and looks at something. So what do you see in Riverside as like the main, what's great about our parks, and what do you see as the main challenges?
Beyond parks, so the city of Riverside has so many much more parkland. We also have so many more amenities than what we had in Anaheim. More community centers, more
interesting.
pools. I know. More senior centers, more youth centers than we did in Anaheim. And so there's just more to be available for our residents. But with that comes the challenge of infrastructure. And so I am seeing that the challenge of infrastructure in Riverside, because we have so many great amenities for our community. And so it's infrastructure when it comes to our buildings, HVAC, lighting, things like that, parking lots. But then also it's the open space management. In Riverside, we have 2,000 acres of open space trails. Wonderful. What a wonderful amenity for our community. But that really does take a challenge and a toll that I'm really excited about getting into. With my background as a landscape architect and also with my background in operations and maintenance, I can't wait to look at that land management aspect.
I can't wait to see what you end up doing in this city, because sitting here having a conversation that it was basically designed to welcome you to the city, I didn't realize we had that much open land.
Right.
I'm learning about a city I was born and raised in,
And
she's only been here a month and she knows it.
And it's unusual for a city of our size to have that much open space, and it presents challenges to have open space management for normally urban park management. So that's why Pamela is the great fit for this.
Again, looking forward to what you're doing. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, thank you as well.
Oh, thank you, Steve, and welcome, Pamela. Excited to have you.
Yeah. City of Riverside is in for some good stuff with our parks. Recreation and Community Services Department. Again, I'm Steve Brazel. Thank you to the mayor for joining us. Also, thank you to the new director for the Parks, Recreation, Community Services Department, Pamela Galera. Nice again to have you here. And make sure that you follow Riverside Parks, Recreation, Community Services Department on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, so that you know what they are doing in and around the communities that you live in. This is Riverside Monthly, and we'll see you on the next segment. Hi, and once again, welcome to Riverside Monthly. I'm Steve Brazel, as always, joined by the mayor for the city of Riverside, Mayor Patricia Lock-Dawson. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, Steve. How about you?
I'm doing great. We're heading into the holiday season, and I can't wait.
Me either.
Yeah, this is such a great time of year, although it is kind of hard to believe it's the end of 2021. I don't know where the year went, but we've got four, actually. I was going to say three. We've got four good segments for you this month on Riverside Monthly. And this particular segment, we're going to be talking to somebody that I think does something I wish we all could participate in. She's laughing already. The Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity. I'd like to welcome to the show, Kathy Mahalik. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for inviting me.
It is wonderful to have you here, and we've got lots of questions for you.
We do. And just so you know, Steve, Kathy and I are friends too.
Again?
Yeah,
This
I
is
know.
the second one this month.
I
And this one, by the
know.
way, I did forget to mention what the segment is on. So let me tell you, Mulberry Village is a downtown housing project that I think is very, very intriguing.
It is. And I think most people are familiar with Habitat for Humanity. They know what Habitat for Humanity does, but they think of it probably in terms of single family housing. So how is this different? I mean, how is Mulberry Village? It's a village. Why don't you talk to us about that a little
It
bit?
is a village, and it takes a village to build a village. So, Habitat for Humanity is probably best known as a home ownership program. We spend a lot of our time and energy with homeowners or prospective low-income homeowners, preserving affordable housing for seniors, but also building new housing for low-income families. So this is a little different. This is actually a project that we partnered up with the City of Riverside, the Housing Authority, to build a small community of homes that are probably 400 to 425 square feet each. There's 10 of them on this single-family home lot. They fit the lot extremely well. It works extremely well. They're one bedroom, one bath, kitchenette, stackable washer dryer, so fully self-contained units, just smaller, kind of reminiscent of the packing house days in Riverside, where we had really small homes for packing house workers. And this is very, very similar. What's different, really different, is that these are not for home ownership. These are going to be used for the formerly homeless. So that's that step up into a place that you can really call your own. It's a home. The difference is, for Habitat, we would normally just build homes that are sold to low-income homeowners. So this is very different. It's unique. It's the first time that I'm aware of in the state of California that a Habitat has done something like this.
I've got so many questions on this because when you mentioned the square footage, what popped into my head was a number of overseas communities. That square footage is not unusual, actually. There's a number of places overseas, other countries, that have much smaller square footage than we tend to have, at least here in the U.S. But again, for Habitat for Humanity, where I think, and I know very well of that reputation of those single-family homes for sale. So I guess I want to go back to the beginning. Where'd the concept come from? I mean, is this being done anywhere else other than here?
I'm sure we've talked about
In this way, I guess I mean?
not in this way. I think this is a little different. We've talked about the pallet shelters and things like that, but they're not a home. They're a shelter. This is really basically a single family home, probably the size of your first apartment, something like that.
Right.
But
Like a studio.
Yeah, but this one actually has a covered front porch. These all have covered front porches. They're situated on the lot so that they're kind of cantilevered or catty corner a little bit so that nobody looks into somebody else's porch directly, so they have their own private space. It's actually pretty cool. And it will be managed in a partnership. The city will manage it in partnership with the Housing Authority and the Office of Homeless Solutions. So it's going to be a pretty cool project.
You're passionate about this.
I did.
Comes through.
It's a lot of
I love
fun.
that.
It's been really cool. You know, without a home, nothing else matters.
It's true. It gives
really
hope to
is.
people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I think. And I think, why don't you talk a little bit too, Kathy, what you think, how this is going to help us with our housing crisis, with our homeless crisis. I mean, talk a little bit about that.
Well, the really cool thing about these plans, there are 3 different floor plans. And the really cool thing about it is the city of Riverside owns those plans now. And we are going to put those be available over the counter. So if you're a homeowner in the city of Riverside and you have room for a 400 square foot ADU, you pay one flat fee over the counter and you can buy those plans. You don't have to get an architect involved. You don't have to do civil engineering, all that kind of stuff. It's already ready to go. So it's a huge opportunity for us to increase our housing units, the rental housing units, and help people stay in their homes. So.
Let me touch on the community aspect of this. It's my understanding, correct me where I'm wrong here, but from a community organization point of view, community organizations have played some role, general, community organizations, which I consider Habitat for Humanity to be one, but have played some role in getting this off the ground, in getting construction going. Can you touch on that a little bit?
I'll tell you, we had more people volunteer to help us with the wall raising days than we had room on the site. So we had to break the wall raising up into a couple of days.
Wow.
So we had room on the site. So we did 5 one day and had, at least 50, 60 volunteers
Wow.
on one day. And then the second day when we put up the other 5, we had another 50 or 60 volunteers. And in between, we've had community groups. The Rotaries, the Calvary Presbyterian Church, STEM students have been involved, Bournes Engineering, a bunch of
STEM students is
firefighters,
Leader Brothers, Target.
Actually, the city, even the city employees came out and actually did a wall raising day, which was really cool.
Including your mayor.
Including my mayor, yeah.
I have to say I'm not the best at swinging a hammer, but it was fun. And I have to say, when I was out there that day, it was like an old-fashioned barn raising.
Exactly.
It was pretty cool. I mean, everybody getting together to lift the walls up. It really had that feel to it. It did have the community. Anyway.
I just, before you go on with your next question, you introduced the subject.
Oh, no.
What is she like as a construction worker?
Yeah, she wasn't bad, actually. I have to say that the city team, they got their walls, all 4 walls and the interior walls and everything up. And they weren't first, but they got it done. Although I have to say, there were 4 firefighters that were actually on duty. They came by, and in between calls, they actually left for a call. They still got all 4 walls raised.
Love that. Love
4
it.
guys.
Hardest working guys.
They were cool. They were really great.
Okay. Well, where can people find out more about the Mulberry Village?
We are going to need a crush of volunteers over the next probably 4 weeks. So reach out to our website, habitatriverside.org, or give us a call and check in with us, and we'll be posting some of the volunteer dates and opportunities, because a lot of the work will be inside, finishing off the houses on the inside, so everybody can help. And you don't have to have a lot of skills.
I love it. And again, I said at the beginning, this is one of those things that everybody can get involved in. They can have too many volunteers,
Never
and they'll
too
even
many.
work around that, right? They'll spread it out to multiple days so that you can help and participate. And one of the things about Habitat for Humanity is it's not a one-time project, right? This is an organization you can get involved in on the long term. If you've got that kind of time and that kind of desire, it's such a great organization. So again, Kathy, thank you so much for coming down.
Let me say one final thing.
Anything you want. You can say two.
How
if you
many
want.
things can you volunteer for where you can drive down the street 10 years later and tell your kids, I helped build that?
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So again, to the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity here in Riverside, Kathy Mahalik, thanks for joining us. Madam Mayor as well, thanks. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks,
And-
Kathy.
Thank you.
Make sure you look up all the details. It's Mulberry Village, downtown housing project here in Riverside. And make sure you check out each and every show here on Riverside Monthly. We've got 4 of them this month, so find them, check them all out. Go to the YouTube channel for the City of Riverside or the Mayor's Facebook page. I'm Steve Brazel. This is Riverside Monthly, and we will see you on the next show.
It may look peaceful, but there's a storm brewing. A deadly plant disease that can change our landscape forever. Spread by the Asian citrus psyllid Huanglongbing, or HLB, is a death sentence for citrus. The disease is already in our state. Now's the time to inspect your citrus trees and report suspicious symptoms. If HLB is not stopped, all citrus in California is at risk of disappearing. We must act now. Learn how to protect your citrus trees at californiacitrusthreat.org.
Hi, and once again, welcome to Riverside Monthly. I'm Steve Brazel, joined as always by the Mayor for the City of Riverside, Mayor Patricia Lock Dawson. How are you?
I'm doing well, Steve, being the mayor of the coolest city on the planet.
We were just talking in the green room off camera about how cool the City of Riverside is, and this particular segment is something I find educational, inspirational, a lot of different areas that this touches. We're going to talk about Pachapa Camp. Pachapa Camp is the first Koreatown in the United States, and we have a wonderful guest with us here today. Joining us, we have the Professor of Ethnic Studies and the founder of the Young Oak Kim Center for Korean American Studies at UCR, Dr. Edward Chang. How are you, sir?
Hello, how are you?
Wonderful. It's wonderful to have you here, sir. We've got so many questions because, again, growing up in this town, this is one of those segments. I think we're all going to learn something about Riverside.
You know, Steve, there's a statue in downtown Riverside on our mall, and it's in honor of Dosan An Cheng Ho. And very few people really know the story behind that. And I'm wondering if the exhibit, the Pachapa Camp exhibit, will help people kind of get a better understanding of his role.
Yes, it will. So far, I've done an interview with New York Times, LA Times, NBC News, PBS, NPR, of course, Press Enterprise, and City Television Station here. So I'm getting a lot of national, international attention. And the Riverside is, thick of it. We are in the center of focal point. The Pachapa Camp began around 1904 by Dosan An Cheng Ho, whose statue is standing tall in downtown Riverside, along with Martin Luther King and Gandhi statue. And this is not just a simply labor camp. It's a community led by An Cheng Ho for independence of Korea. And they had discussion groups of women and children, families, working, living side by side, and established the nation's first Koreatown, I wish Korean village at the time, but it's historically very significant.
So I want to kind of go back to what you just said, and that is when it started, et cetera. So there's a lot of cities around the U.S. that are known for Koreatown, Los Angeles, of course, being one of them. But so many people don't know that the first Koreatown was here in Riverside. Why is that? Why haven't we been known before this?
Actually, I didn't know either.
Really?
I didn't know. Nobody knew anything about it until I began my research project around 2015. I remember the undergrad students at UCR found a map, and this is the map downtown, and it shows small print. It said Korean settlement, and this is the downtown Riverside, made in 1908. And I've never heard Korean settlement in downtown Riverside or elsewhere, and so it led me to maybe I should look into this. And I began look into this and found a lot of materials and pieced it all together and able to confirm that this was nation's first Korean community.
And it's because students found the map.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
That's. Can I see it?
Sure.
I don't think I've seen this map. This is very cool. So it's a really interesting time in our country. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on, and I'm just wondering what you think what are the lessons, I guess, that we can learn from Pachapa Camp, and how is it relevant today?
Well, it's very relevant because they were living very harsh conditions. No electricity, no running water. It was a shack. And despite all these hardships, they were able to overcome all the barriers. They were very resilient. They showed tenacity and determination to not only hold community together, but also fight for the independence of their homeland, Korea. And Dosan Chang-ho's leadership, he preached honesty, integrity. And we're living the history that we didn't know it existed. So we are uncovering the historical legacy of not only the city of Riverside, but also Korean American community, modern Korean history.
So the mayor mentioned early on about an exhibit. So let's talk about the exhibit here for a second. The exhibit's going to be on display at UCR Arts, which is the Main Street Mall. It goes through January 9th. And it kind of shows how the seeds of Korean independence were sown here in the U.S. between 1904 and 1913. Going back to that exhibit and that history from those years to Korea as a country, to Korean Americans, explain, how important that really is. To just, like you say, this was a secret, not secret. This was unknown until this map was found and you did your research project. Knowing this now, to me, seems like it's such an important thing.
Yes, not only the Riverside played a vital role, democratic republicanism of Republic of Korea today, it came from here in downtown Riverside. And as you know, some of you may know that Korea experienced colonialism, war, poverty, and dictatorship. And now Korea has emerged as one of the most democratic and thriving economy, 8th largest economy. And fortunately, city of Riverside and Gangnam district city is sister city. Gangnam is the most wealthiest city in Republic of Korea today. Therefore, I'm very proud of the fact the democratic republicanism was born here in Riverside.
And I have to say, whenever I meet visitors from Korea, they love to go to that statue because he is such a hero in the country of Korea, which I didn't know about until I found out about all this. So it's pretty interesting history from the city's perspective, but also globally as well.
Yes, definitely.
So where can people go find out more information, Dr. Chang? Where can they find out information about the exhibit, but also Dosan Ho?
UCR Arts, if you go visit their website, you should be able to find information. And also click Google New York Times, LA Times, and PBS, YouTube. You'll see, Pachapa Camp. You'll see all tons of information.
Well, again, Dr. Chang, thank you so much for joining us. And I do have a URL for you. So if you do want to head to this website, it's ucrarts.ucr.edu/exhibition/Pachapa-camp. Head to there, hit pause, rewind, play it a couple times until you can write it down. Head over there, but just go down to UCR Arts, down in the Main Street Mall, check out the statues in the Main Street Mall, check out UCR Arts and the exhibition that's going on through January or early January. And I just find this to be such a fascinating part of the history of the city of Riverside. So thank you for doing your project, finding all of this out, and sharing it with us. And Madam Mayor, thank you to you as well.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Chang.
Introducing Introducing Riverside Connect, a rideshare service for Riverside residents with disabilities or who are 60 years old or better. Service is available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and weekends and holidays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our one-way fares begin as low as $2 each way. Riverside Connect, connecting you to where you want to go. For more information, call 951-687-8080 or visit riv-connect.com.
Hi, welcome to Riverside Monthly. I'm Steve Brazel, and we've got 4 great segments for you this month. This time around, we're going to be talking about the Mission Inn Hotel and Spa Festival of Lights. As always, I'm joined by the mayor for the city of Riverside, Mayor Patricia Locke-Dawson. How are you?
Hello, Steve. I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm full from Thanksgiving and looking forward to the holidays.
Me too. Happy holidays to you. Isn't that what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Festival of Lights because the Festival of Lights is back for 2021. We've got a guest with us that is perfect to talk about just this subject. The Arts and Cultural Affairs Manager for the City of Riverside, Margie Haupit. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Madam Mayor, you want to get us going?
So, the Festival of Lights is back this year. It's a little bit different, but what can people expect when they're down there? I mean, there's still same traditions, but why don't you talk to us a little bit about it?
You know, speaking of the traditions, I think that's an important point. Festival of Lights has always been about family and traditions, and that continues no matter what we have and what we have down there this year. And so we have lights, we have decor, we have great businesses for shopping, we have wonderful restaurants, delicious restaurants for dining, and even places for little desserts and different things along that with our local businesses.
You're making me hungry now. Can you do me a favor? Because you're talking about all the things that we're going to see. There are some changes with it being back. Could you just touch on those a little bit?
So yes, the beginning of Festival Lights changed a little bit because this year we didn't have the switch on ceremony, and we needed to make that decision many months ago with the information we had. And as every organization was challenged with COVID-19 and public health, we had to make decisions with information we had at that point. And the Mission Inn Hotel and Spa made that decision because they start decorating, which is great, in August. We start planning for this. We're already planning for 2022. So there's a lot of lead time. And so that was a change that started differently. But we have this going until the end of January, beginning of January to celebrate family and tradition in the holidays.
So I was down there the other night. I've been patronizing our restaurants and things downtown. It looked like there were more decorations than last year. I mean, is that right? I mean, what's down there that's new?
So we had the opportunity to actually relight all of the trees along Main Street. So we rewrapped the trees along Main Street, as well as we have created a really great relationship and collaboration and partnership with UC Riverside. And so they came in as a sponsor this year.
Oh, I like
and
that.
So we have some very cool lighted decor selfie stations. One's a picture, 2 are picture frames, and 2 are very large stars with gift tags that were our gifts from UC Riverside.
Those selfie stations are very popular. There were
I feel
a lot
like
of
taking
people
my
when
phone
they
and going like this
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect for that.
There are some other changes. Really quick, you had mentioned earlier in an off-camera conversation that there were some changes entertainment-wise. You just want to tell the people about that really quick?
Happy to. So as over the last 2 years since we've done a traditional Festival of Lights, we've had a lot of new businesses come into the downtown and new opportunities for businesses, small businesses, to be a part of the downtown. And so we have those. And we also have opportunities for people to walk and see the lights and see the displays, both in the windows of the businesses as well as along Main Street. We don't have any formal entertainment or formal vendors, but we have new businesses that have some great treats, like the Donut Bar with donuts.
Which I've been to many times, yes.
Yes, we have our local coffee businesses like Molino's or Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, and we have great sandwich places like Simple Simon's or
Which I've been to.
yes,
many.
quite a few of us have.
Yeah.
And you know what's also new that I was just thinking about, and this is due to COVID, which is a positive thing, there's a lot of outdoor space now where the tables are. So you can do a little cafe society out there and look at the lights and sit down, have a sandwich, have something to eat, drink, and watch all the people walk by and enjoy the lights.
That's a really great point. And that came about through COVID, through our outdoor flex permit, to allow businesses to be flexible and do their business differently. And that has really added a wonderful element. And the businesses have really taken hold of it and created some very nice environments with lights and decor and food and music.
What I love about this to me is it's brought it back to really the root of what the Festival of Lights really was, and that is families going out and enjoying themselves outdoors, downtown, city of Riverside, near the Mission Inn Hotel and Spa with the lights and the entire environment we have in this wonderful downtown.
It's really a wonderful gift that Dwayne Roberts started 29 years ago, and really it was based on the community, on about the city of Riverside, and celebrating and providing lights and decor and creativity and imagination for families. So that continues no matter what year it is.
So 29 years.
Wow.
That's, wow.
I'm only 28, so...
I've not been a part of them all, just pointing that out to you two.
Well, okay, but that means next year is the 30th anniversary, correct? So are there big plans for the 30th anniversary?
So there's lots of big ideas right now, and we want everyone to be a part of those big ideas. And so we are in the process, because as I mentioned earlier, we start planning well in advance, a year in advance. We're already planning for next year. But we'd love some ideas from our local businesses, from our residents, from our visitors, from our electeds, as well as key stakeholders. So we'll be doing that through the course of this season and then into the new year to gather ideas, gather data, see what people want, talk with the local businesses, because we really do have an opportunity to switch it up, make it a little bit different, or bring it something back that really connected with you or your family or your visitors you bring down every year. So we're doing that.
To me, it's a neat thing after the weird couple of years that we've been through to have an opportunity to look at such an iconic thing like the Festival of Lights and have an opportunity to get that input. I commend you for taking that input, because a lot of organizations wouldn't, and I think that's fantastic. If people want to find out more or reach out to you, where do they go?
Okay, well, there's a couple different ways you can do that, Steve. One is you can email us at specialevents@riversideca.gov.
Okay.
It goes directly to our staff and myself, and we all have access to it, so can gather it that way. We'll also be going out through social media channels that we have through the city, as well as doing some walking to businesses and talking with residents, going out some nights, talking with people who are coming down and visiting, and then we'll just be having conversations. So special events email is probably the best way.
And the website again is?
They can go to riversidefestivaloflights.com, or they can go through the city's website to the Arts and Cultural Affairs page.
Again, thank you so much for joining us. The Arts and Cultural Affairs Manager for the City of Riverside, it's Margie Haupt. Again, to everybody, thanks so much for joining us. This is Riverside Monthly. Make sure to join us on each and every show on the city's YouTube channel, or you can follow the mayor on any of her social media channels, and you'll see each episode there. Thanks. We'll see you next time.